Oh, I'm just a typical American boy from a typical American town. I believe in God and Senator Dodd, and I keep an old Castro down. And when it came my time to serve, I knew better dead than red.
One of the more controversial decisions of his presidency.
I do not favor a blanket amnesty, but for those who violated selective service laws, I intend to grant a blanket pardon.
But when I got to my old draft board, buddy, this is what I said. Sarge, I'm only 18, I got a ruptured spleen, and I always carry a purse. I've got eyes like a bat and my feet are flat, and my asthma's getting worse. Yes, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm a-going to school, and I'm a-working in a defense plant. I got a dislocated disc and a rack.
Professor Gerald Treese, also a Vietnam veteran, and JAG Professor Jeffrey Korn. Gerald, first to you, the whole point for the president, he said, was to help heal the wounds brought on by the conflict. Did it work or did it not?
Well, certainly didn't at the time. I can recall when the president made that statement, it was not well received. But, you know, as time goes on and Vietnam gets further and further in the rearview mirror, perhaps it's best to let that go. That's yesterday's news, but the pain is still there.
I'm only 18, got a ruptured spleen, and I always carry a purse. I've got eyes like a bat, my feet are flat, my asthma's getting worse. Yes, think of my career, my sweetheart.
Was there precedent for this?
Wasn't really precedent for that type of blanket pardon, although President Carter did make it one of the pillars of his campaign when he ran for president, and I think it just shows that the country was at that time, and I think in many ways remains very divided on the legitimacy of the war, and the draft dodgers were just kind of the focal point of that after the war ended.
My sweetheart dear, my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm a-going to school, and I'm a-working in a defense plant. Ooh, I hate showing lie, and I hope he dies. But one thing you gotta see, that someone's gotta go over there, and that someone isn't me. So I wish you well, Sarge, give him hell. Kill me 1,000 or so.
On the civilians, or was it also applying to members of the armed forces who deserted?
Well, that was one of the more controversial aspects. It applied only to the civilians who avoided the draft, and the government, the military continued to prosecute deserters, and the government also prosecuted anti-war opponents who remained in the United States. So in some ways you could say the ones who had at least the patriotism to follow the duty to go into the armed services initially were treated more harshly than the ones who dodged it altogether.
Jerry Treese, I'm wondering, as a Vietnam veteran, if it wasn't especially painful since so many Vietnam vets were treated so very badly when they got home.
Well, you know, it was not just the way the movies portray it. It was more, I think most of the veterans didn't want to talk about it when they came home either because it had been portrayed as such an unjust war. But JP, you and I are about the same age, and you recall, and Atlanta's so much younger than us, but you and I can recall this country was not just torn apart. It was torn so many different places because of the draft. And so everybody felt this. And the way that we look at it now, without the draft, are these wars more or less controversial? Is the military more fair or less
First
fair?
to go. Yes, I'm only 18. I got a ruptured spleen and I always carry a purse. I've got eyes like a bat, my feet are flat, my asthma's getting worse. Yes, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, my poor